Picture this. Somewhere on Earth right now, under the cover of darkness, or in the golden light of dawn, a predator moves through its domain with such effortless grace that it seems almost supernatural. Eyes like burnished gold scan the horizon. Muscles coil beneath a coat patterned by evolution itself. In a heartbeat, stillness explodes into motion, and the ancient dance between hunter and hunted unfolds once more. Welcome to Bedtime Biology, where science meets serenity. Each night, we explore the quiet wonders of the natural world, calming your mind and sparking your curiosity. If you like these videos, please consider subscribing to the channel for more. I would also encourage you to comment below if you have any feedback or suggestions for topics of future episodes. Tonight, we journey into the realm of the big cats, those magnificent felines that have captured human imagination for millennia. From the sun-scorched savannas of Africa to the mist-shrouded peaks of the Himalayas, from the dense tangles of the Amazon to the frozen expanses of Siberia, these apex predators rule their kingdoms with a combination of power, intelligence, and adaptation, so refined that each species tells its own remarkable story of survival. The term big cat itself carries different meanings depending on whom you ask. To some, it refers only to the 4 species capable of roaring: lions, tigers, jaguars, and leopards. To scientists studying the Panthera genus, it includes these 4, plus the snow leopard. Others expand the definition further to encompass all members of the Pantherini subfamily, adding the clouded leopard and Sunda clouded leopard. And in some contexts, the term embraces even the cheetah and cougar, the largest cats outside the Pantherini subfamily, bringing the count to 9 species. But regardless of how we define them, big cats share certain fundamental characteristics that set them apart. They are obligate carnivores, meaning their survival depends entirely on consuming meat. They possess retractile claws that can be drawn back into protective sheaths, keeping them razor sharp for the moments they're needed most. Their bodies are muscular and powerful, designed by millions of years of evolution for the specific challenges of their environments. And perhaps most impressively, they have evolved sensory systems so acute that they can detect the faintest rustle of prey in near total darkness, track scents across vast distances, and judge the precise trajectory needed to intercept a fleeing animal. To understand these remarkable creatures, we must first travel back in time, to the origins of the cat family itself. The story begins approximately 25 million years ago, during the Oligocene epoch, when the first true cats emerged. The earliest known felid, a creature called Pro-Ilurus, prowled the forests of what is now Europe and Asia. This ancient ancestor was followed by Pseudolurus, a more advanced cat that would give rise to 2 major evolutionary lines: the felids we know today, and the now extinct saber-toothed cats of the Machairodontinae subfamily. Around 10.8 million years ago, a critical split occurred in the cat family tree. The Panthera lineage, the big cats, diverged from the common ancestor they shared with all other felines. This makes the Panthera lineage the oldest of the 8 major cat lineages that scientists have identified through genetic analysis. From this ancient stock would eventually emerge the magnificent predators that command our attention tonight. The Panthera genus itself is relatively young in geological terms. The tiger and snow leopard, which are sister species, diverged from their common ancestor approximately 3.9 million years ago. The tiger then evolved into its own distinct species around 3.2 million years ago, during the late Pliocene epoch. Meanwhile, the ancestor of lions, leopards, and jaguars split from other big cats between 4.3 and 3.8 million years ago. The jaguar diverged from the ancestor it shared with lions and leopards somewhere between 3.6 and 2.5 million years ago. These evolutionary timelines reveal something fascinating. The big cats we know today are relatively recent innovations in the grand scheme of life on Earth. They represent the pinnacle of feline evolution, each species honed by the specific pressures and opportunities of their environments into forms that are simultaneously similar in their fundamental design, yet remarkably different in their adaptations. The cats of the Panthera genus possess certain anatomical features that distinguish them from other felines. Most notably, they have a specialized larynx structure with an elongated hyoid bone that allows most of them to produce the characteristic roar that has made them famous. This roar isn't merely for show. It serves critical functions in establishing territories, attracting mates, and coordinating behavior between related individuals. A lion's roar, being the longest and most robust, can be heard up to 8 or even 10 kilometers away under favorable conditions. It's a sound that has echoed across the African landscape for millions of years, a primal declaration of presence and power. Interestingly, the snow leopard, despite being a member of the Panthera genus, cannot produce a true roar. It lacks the large pad of fibroelastic tissue in its larynx that allows for the vocal fold expansion necessary for roaring. Instead, it produces a variety of other vocalizations, including a distinctive sawing sound, moans, and high-pitched cries. This difference initially led taxonomists to classify the snow leopard in its own genus, Uncia. But modern genetic analysis has firmly established its place within Panthera, as its DNA reveals it to be a sister species to the taiga. The physical characteristics of big cats vary considerably across species, reflecting their different lifestyles and habitats. At the lighter end of the spectrum, adult snow leopards typically weigh between 22 and 55 kilograms, though exceptional specimens have reached 75 kilograms. These relatively modest proportions make sense when you consider the steep, rocky terrain they must navigate. At the other extreme, male tigers can weigh anywhere from 100 to 306 kilograms, with females ranging from 75 to 167 kilograms. Some exceptionally large male tigers in captivity have exceeded 450 kilograms, though such weights are not typical for wild individuals. Lions fall somewhere in between, with males typically weighing between 150 and 250 kilograms, and females between 110 and 182 kilograms. Jaguars, the largest cats in the Americas, can weigh up to 158 kilograms, while leopards vary widely depending on their geographic location, with some populations averaging around 60 kilograms and others substantially less. These weight differences aren't merely matters of scale. They reflect profound differences in hunting strategies, prey preferences, and ecological roles. A tiger must be powerful enough to bring down a water buffalo weighing several times its own body weight. A cheetah, conversely, has sacrificed mass for speed, weighing only 40 to 60 kilograms, but capable of reaching velocities that no other land animal can match. Each cat's body is a solution to a specific set of challenges posed by its environment. All big cats share certain sensory adaptations that make them supremely effective predators. Their eyes are relatively large and positioned to provide excellent binocular vision, essential for judging distances when launching an attack. The structure of their retinas is particularly fascinating. They contain a high proportion of rod cells, which are specialized for detecting motion and function well in low light conditions. This is complemented by the presence of cone cells that enable color vision during the day, though most big cats are somewhat red-green colorblind compared to humans. One of the most distinctive features of cat eyes is the tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer behind the retina. This structure acts like a mirror, reflecting light that passes through the retina back through it a second time. This effectively doubles the light available to the photoreceptor cells, making cat eyes approximately 6 times more light sensitive than human eyes. It's also what causes that eerie eye shine when light catches a cat's eyes in the dark. That sudden flash of green or gold that reveals a predator's presence. The whiskers of big cats, known scientifically as vibrissae, are another remarkable sensory adaptation. These aren't merely decorative, they're highly sensitive tactile organs. Each whisker is embedded in tissue, rich with nerve endings and blood vessels. They can detect minute changes in air currents, allowing a cat to navigate in complete darkness or sense the proximity of nearby objects without touching them. The whiskers above the eyes, on the cheeks, and around the muzzle form a kind of 3-dimensional sensory field that helps the cat understand its immediate surroundings with remarkable precision. Perhaps most impressive is the cat's sense of smell, which, while not as acute as that of canids, is still far superior to human olfactory capabilities. Cats possess a specialized scent organ called the vomeronasal organ, or Jacobson's organ, located in the roof of their mouth. When a cat curls back its upper lip, opens its mouth slightly, and inhales, a behavior called the Fleeman response. It's drawing air over this organ to better analyze scent molecules. This is particularly important for detecting pheromones and gathering information about other cats in the area, including their reproductive status and individual identity. The skeletal structure of big cats reveals further adaptations for their predatory lifestyle. Their skulls are robust, with powerful jaw muscles that can generate tremendous bite forces. The teeth are specialized for their carnivorous diet. Long, sharp canines for gripping and puncturing. Specialized carnassial teeth at the back of the mouth that work like scissors to shear meat from bone. And relatively few molars, as cats don't need to grind plant material. Some species, particularly the jaguar, have evolved extraordinarily powerful jaws, capable of crushing turtle shells and puncturing skulls. The spine of a cat is remarkably flexible, more so than in most other mammals. This flexibility allows for an extended stride length when running, and enables the dramatic leaping ability that many cats possess. The shoulder blades aren't attached to the collarbone as they are in humans. Instead, they're held in place by muscles and ligaments. This arrangement allows for greater freedom of movement and enables cats to place their front paws directly in line with their body when walking, creating their characteristic fluid gait. Their paws deserve special attention. Most big cats have retractable claws that remain sheathed during normal walking, protecting them from wear and keeping them sharp for hunting. When needed, powerful muscles can extend these claws, transforming the paw into a formidable weapon. The pads on the bottom of the paws are adapted to the cat's specific environment. The snow leopard, for instance, has large, fur-covered paws that act like natural snowshoes, distributing weight over a larger area to prevent sinking in deep snow. The cheetah, conversely, has semi-retractable claws and paw pads with a texture resembling tire treads, both adaptations that provide extra grip during high-speed chases. The big cats possess type 2X muscle fibers that are 3 times more powerful than the muscle fibers of human athletes. These fast-twitch muscle fibers are capable of generating enormous power for short bursts, essential for the explosive acceleration needed to close the final distance to prey or deliver a devastating strike. However, this power comes at a cost. Such muscles fatigue quickly and require significant recovery time between efforts. This is why big cat hunts are typically short, intense affairs rather than prolonged chases. With this understanding of their shared characteristics and evolutionary heritage, we can now turn to the individual species themselves. Each has its own story to tell, its own set of adaptations and behaviors that make it uniquely suited to its particular niche in the natural world. We'll begin our journey with perhaps the most iconic of all big cats, a predator whose very name evokes images of power and majesty. In the shadows of Asia's forests, from the mangrove swamps of the Sundarbans to the birch forests of Siberia, prowls a hunter whose presence alone can alter the behavior of entire ecosystems. The tiger, Panthera tigris, is the largest of all cats, a solitary predator whose combination of size, strength, and stealth has made it one of evolution's most successful designs. An adult male tiger presents an imposing figure, standing over 100 centimeters at the shoulder, stretching more than 3 meters from nose to tail tip, and weighing upward of 250 kilograms or more. These cats are built for power. Females, though smaller, are equally formidable hunters, typically weighing under 200 kilograms and measuring about 2.5 meters in length. But it's not merely their size that makes tigers so effective. It's the intricate package of adaptations that allows them to take down prey animals several times their own weight. The tiger's most distinctive feature is, of course, its striped coat. These markings aren't uniform across all tigers. The pattern varies by individual and, to some extent, by geographic location, making each tiger's coat as unique as a human fingerprint. But these stripes aren't merely decorative. They serve a critical function: camouflage. To understand why, we must consider how tiger prey animals perceive the world. Many of the deer, wild boar, and bovines that tigers hunt are red-green colorblind. When these animals look at a tiger, the orange coat appears greenish to them, allowing the predator to blend seamlessly with vegetation. The vertical stripes break up the tiger's body outline, making it harder for prey to perceive the cat as a single, recognizable shape, especially in the dappled light of a forest or the tall grass of a meadow. Tigers are found in a variety of habitats across Asia, from tropical rainforests to temperate forests, from mangrove swamps to grasslands, and even in the snow-covered taiga of the Russian Far East. This adaptability speaks to the tiger's remarkable ability to adjust its behavior to different environmental conditions. Siberian tigers, also known as Amur tigers, have longer, paler fur and a layer of fat for insulation against the brutal cold of their northern range. Tigers in tropical regions have shorter, darker coats, better suited to warm, humid climates. Despite this geographic variation, all tigers are solitary hunters. Unlike lions, which have evolved social hunting strategies, tigers operate alone. This solitary nature is shaped by the type of terrain they inhabit. In dense forests and jungles, where visibility is limited and prey is scattered, a single stalking predator is more effective than a coordinated group. Tigers establish and defend territories that can range from 20 square kilometers in prey-rich areas to well over 500 square kilometers in regions where food is scarce. These territories are marked with scent, claw marks on trees, and urine sprays, creating an olfactory and visual map that warns other tigers away. Within these territories, tigers spend much of their time on the move, patrolling their domain and searching for prey. They're primarily crepuscular and nocturnal, most active during dawn and dusk, though they'll hunt during the day if opportunities arise. This timing isn't arbitrary. Many of the animals tigers prey upon are also most active during these transitional periods between day and night. By aligning their activity patterns with those of their prey, tigers maximize their hunting efficiency. The tiger's sensory capabilities are key to its hunting success. Their vision is particularly well adapted for low light conditions. The retinas of their eyes contain a much higher concentration of rod cells than cone cells, making them extraordinarily sensitive to movement and able to function in light levels where human vision would be severely compromised. Their night vision is estimated to be about 6 times better than that of humans. This gives them a decisive advantage when hunting at dawn or dusk, when the light is dim but their prey is active. Tigers also possess acute hearing. Their ears can rotate independently, allowing them to pinpoint the source of sounds with remarkable precision. They can detect frequencies that are completely inaudible to humans, picking up the faint rustle of an animal moving through underbrush or the subtle crack of a twig from hundreds of meters away. This auditory acuity is complemented by their sense of smell, which, while not as refined as that of some other predators, is still highly effective. Tigers use scent to gather information about their environment, to locate prey, and to communicate with other tigers. When a tiger hunts, it employs a strategy that has been refined over millions of years of evolution. The hunt begins with detection. Using its superior senses, a tiger identifies potential prey, often from a considerable distance. Once a target is selected, the tiger enters a stalking phase. This is where patience becomes paramount. A tiger may spend hours slowly closing the distance to its prey, moving with such care and precision that it's nearly invisible. It uses every available bit of cover, trees, rocks, tall grass, the contours of the land itself, to remain undetected. Every few steps, it pauses, remaining perfectly still, assessing whether the prey has noticed its presence. The stalking phase continues until the tiger is within striking range, typically between 9 and 24 meters of the prey. This is a critical distance. Tigers aren't built for sustained high-speed chases. Their powerful muscles are optimized for explosive bursts rather than endurance running. If they can't close the final distance in a short rush, the prey will likely escape. At 15 to 20 meters, with the prey still unaware, the tiger's body coils like a spring. Then, in an explosion of muscle and intention, the attack begins. The final rush is breathtakingly fast. A tiger can cover ground with astonishing speed over short distances, its flexible spine extending and contracting to lengthen each stride. But speed alone isn't enough. The tiger must also be precise, calculating the exact trajectory to intercept the fleeing prey. This is where its binocular vision becomes critical. allowing it to judge distances with the accuracy needed to time its leap perfectly. When a tiger makes contact with its prey, the attack enters its most dangerous phase for both predator and prey. The method of bringing down the prey varies depending on the animal's size and the tiger's position during the attack. If approaching from behind, the tiger often uses its forepaws to grab the prey's hindquarters or uses its own weight to knock the animal off balance. If attacking from the side or front, it may seize the prey with its jaws, while simultaneously using its forepaws to grip and control the animal's movement. For medium-sized prey, tigers often deliver a bite to the nape of the neck, where the sharp canines can slip between vertebrae to sever the spinal cord, causing instant death or paralysis. For larger prey, like water buffalo, tigers typically employ a throat bite, clamping down on the windpipe and maintaining this grip until the prey suffocates. This can take several minutes, during which the tiger must hold on despite the prey's desperate struggles. It's an exhausting and potentially dangerous process. A well-placed kick from a water buffalo or swipe from a gaur can inflict serious injuries. The entire sequence from final approach to death typically lasts only a few minutes, though it can feel like an eternity for both participants. This efficiency is the product of millions of years of evolution, resulting in a predator that has combined raw power with precise technique to minimize risk while maximizing success. Not every hunt succeeds. In fact, the success rate for tiger hunts is relatively low, estimated at only 10 to 20%. This sobering statistic highlights just how challenging hunting is, even for such a formidable predator. Prey animals have evolved their own strategies for survival, including keen senses that can detect the presence of predators, speed and agility that can outmatch a tiger's rush, and social structures that provide multiple sets of eyes to watch for danger. For every successful hunt, there are several attempts that end with the prey escaping and the tiger expending precious energy for no gain. This low success rate means that when a tiger does make a kill, it must maximize the value of that success. Adult tigers need to catch approximately 50 large prey animals per year to survive, though this number varies based on prey size and availability. After a successful kill, tigers typically begin feeding on the meat-rich hindquarters rather than the internal organs. They can consume an impressive amount of meat in a single feeding session, up to 40 kilograms, though they more commonly eat 20 to 30 kilograms at a time. The remaining carcass is often dragged to cover and concealed with leaves and soil, allowing the tiger to return for additional meals over the course of several days. Tigers aren't purely hunters. They're also opportunistic scavengers. If they encounter a carcass that another predator has killed, or an animal that has died of natural causes, they won't hesitate to feed on it. However, hunting live prey remains their primary strategy for obtaining food. The prey base of tigers varies significantly depending on their geographic location. In the Indian subcontinent, tigers primarily hunt cheetah and sambar deer, as well as wild boar. In the Russian Far East, Siberian tigers target sika deer, roe deer, and wild boar, occasionally taking larger prey like elk. Sumatran tigers, living in dense tropical forests, hunt smaller prey, including muntjac, wild boar, and occasionally sun bears. Tigers have even been documented successfully hunting and killing bears, including both sloth bears and larger brown bears, though such encounters are relatively rare and extremely dangerous for the tiger. When primary prey becomes scarce, tigers demonstrate remarkable flexibility, shifting their diet to include smaller animals such as primates, birds, reptiles, and even fish. They're capable swimmers and don't hesitate to enter water, whether to cool off during hot weather, to cross rivers, or to hunt aquatic prey. In the Sundarbans, a vast mangrove delta shared by India and Bangladesh, tigers have adapted to an almost semi-aquatic lifestyle, swimming between islands and hunting in environments where water is omnipresent. The relationship between tigers and their environment is complex and bidirectional. Tigers shape their ecosystems through their role as apex predators, regulating prey populations and creating what ecologists call a landscape of fear that influences where and when prey animals feed, rest, and reproduce. This regulatory function has cascading effects throughout the food web. By keeping herbivore populations in check, tigers help prevent overgrazing, which in turn affects plant communities, which affects insects, birds, and countless other organisms. Remove the tiger from an ecosystem, and the entire system begins to change, often in ways that lead to decreased biodiversity and ecological health. But tigers themselves are also shaped by their environment. The availability of prey, the density of cover for stalking, the presence or absence of competitors like leopards and dholes, the patterns of human activity, all of these factors influence tiger behavior, territory size, and population density. In areas where tigers must coexist with high levels of human activity, they often shift to more nocturnal patterns, hunting under cover of darkness to minimize encounters with people. Reproduction in tigers follows patterns that are broadly similar to other big cats, but with some distinctive features. Tigers don't have a specific breeding season. Females enter estrus periodically throughout the year. When a female is in heat, she advertises her condition through scent marking and vocalizations. Males in the area detect these signals and may travel considerable distances to locate the receptive female. If multiple males arrive, there may be competition, sometimes leading to fierce battles, though these confrontations are typically more ritualized displays of dominance rather than fights to the death. Once a male and female come together, they may mate numerous times over a period of several days. After this brief period of companionship, the male departs and plays no role in raising the young. The female's gestation period lasts approximately 110 days, after which she gives birth to a litter of between 1 and 4 cubs, though 2 or 3 is most common. The cubs are born blind and helpless, weighing only about 1 kilogram each. For the first 2 months of their lives, tiger cubs remain in the den, which might be a cave, a thicket, a rock crevice, or any other sheltered location the mother has selected. During this vulnerable period, the mother must leave them periodically to hunt, taking care to conceal the den's location from potential predators. Cubs begin to accompany their mother on hunts when they're about 6 months old, though they won't participate actively in hunting for many more months. Instead, they watch and learn, gradually developing the complex suite of skills needed for successful predation. Young tigers remain with their mother for approximately 18 to 24 months, during which time she teaches them everything they need to survive: how to stalk, how to kill, how to avoid danger, and eventually how to establish and defend their own territories. When they finally leave, usually when the mother enters estrus again and begins attracting adult males whose presence threatens the adolescent tigers, they face one of the most challenging periods of their lives. They must find unoccupied territories, or challenge established adults for territory, all while honing their hunting skills enough to feed themselves reliably. Male tigers typically disperse farther from their birth territories than females. This pattern helps prevent inbreeding and promotes genetic diversity. Young males may spend months or even years as nomads, wandering in search of an opportunity to establish themselves. During this period, mortality is high. Many young tigers starve, are killed by other tigers, or come into fatal conflict with humans. The interactions between tigers and other predators reveal interesting dynamics. In areas where tigers and leopards overlap, tigers tend to be dominant, often pushing leopards to the periphery of the best habitat. Leopards respond by shifting their activity patterns to avoid direct encounters, and by focusing on smaller prey that doesn't compete directly with the tiger's preferred diet. Tigers have also been documented fighting with and sometimes killing wild dogs or dholes, particularly when these pack hunters attempt to scavenge from tiger kills. Despite their fearsome reputation, tigers generally prefer to avoid humans and kill people far less often than the opportunities would suggest. When provoked or surprised, tigers typically give a warning growl and allow the person to retreat. Most tigers that do become habitual man-eaters have underlying reasons for this behavior: old age, injury, or circumstances that make normal prey unavailable. The Sundarbans remain something of an exception to this pattern, with a higher incidence of tiger attacks on humans, possibly due to the challenging environmental conditions and limited prey availability. The challenges facing tigers in the modern world are severe. Habitat loss and fragmentation have reduced their range dramatically. Where once tigers roamed throughout Asia, from Turkey to the eastern coast of Russia, from Siberia to Indonesia, they now occupy less than 7% of their historical range. Poaching remains a persistent threat, driven by demand for tiger parts in traditional medicine and as status symbols. Human-wildlife conflict, particularly in areas where tigers prey on livestock, leads to retaliatory killings. Climate change is altering their habitats, particularly in coastal areas like the Sundarbans, where rising sea levels threaten critical mangrove forests. Yet despite these challenges, conservation efforts are showing success in some areas. India's tiger population, which dropped to perilously low levels in the 20th century, has increased in recent years, thanks to intensive protection efforts. Russia's Siberian tiger population has stabilized and shows signs of slow growth. China has begun to take tiger conservation seriously after decades of inadequate protection. These successes demonstrate that with sufficient will and resources, tiger populations can recover. But the clock is ticking, and the future of this magnificent predator remains uncertain. If the tiger is the archetype of the solitary hunter, the lion represents something entirely different: the power of cooperation. Lions are the only truly social cats, living in complex family groups called prides that have fascinated humans since time immemorial. These golden-maned predators of the African savanna and, in vanishingly small numbers, the forests of Western India have evolved a lifestyle so distinct from other big cats that understanding them requires us to think not just about individual animals, but about the dynamics of groups. A lion pride is a fascinating social structure, typically consisting of several related adult females, their dependent offspring, and a coalition of adult males who have joined the pride from elsewhere. The core of any pride is the group of lionesses, often sisters, mothers, daughters, cousins, forming a matrilineal unit that may persist for generations. These females are the stable element of the pride, remaining in their birth territory for their entire lives under normal circumstances. They hunt together, raise cubs communally, and defend their territory against intruding females. The males, by contrast, are transient in any given pride. Young males leave or are expelled from their birth pride when they reach sexual maturity, typically around 2 to 3 years of age. They then enter a nomadic phase, wandering alone or forming coalitions with brothers or other related males, occasionally with unrelated males if no relatives are available. These coalitions patrol vast areas, searching for opportunities to take over an established pride. When they find one, they must challenge and defeat the resident males, a confrontation that can be brutal and occasionally fatal. If the challenging coalition is successful, the new males face an immediate problem: the cubs sired by the previous males. These cubs represent a reproductive dead end for the new males. Worse, their presence delays the female's return to fertility, as nursing lionesses don't typically enter estrus until their cubs are weaned, usually around 18 months. The solution evolution has provided is disturbing but effective: infanticide. The new males systematically hunt down and kill the existing cubs. This horrific behavior accounts for approximately 1/4 of all cub deaths in lion populations. The lionesses vigorously defend their cubs against infanticide, but they're rarely successful unless several females cooperate against a male. The loss of their cubs triggers a rapid return to estrus, and within days, the females will mate with the new males. This brutal reset ensures that the male's brief tenure with a pride, typically lasting only 2 to 3 years before they're displaced by younger, stronger challengers, is spent producing and protecting their own offspring, rather than raising the previous male's cubs. Once the new males have established themselves and sired cubs, their role in the pride becomes one of protection and territory defense. Despite popular perception of male lions as lazy parasites, living off the female's hunting efforts, males play crucial roles. They patrol the territory boundaries, confronting intruders and deterring both rival lion coalitions and other large predators like hyenas. Their size and strength, typically 50% greater than that of females, makes them formidable in these confrontations. Males are also capable hunters, particularly effective when stalking prey in dense vegetation, where they can use ambush tactics rather than the cooperative strategies females employ in open terrain. The lionesses are the heart of the pride's hunting efforts. Unlike tigers and most other cats, lions have evolved to hunt cooperatively, and this cooperation is most evident in the females. A hunt typically begins with one or more lionesses spotting prey from a distance. Lions prefer to hunt medium to large ungulates, with their diet varying by region. In the Serengeti, they primarily hunt wildebeest, zebra, and buffalo. In other areas, they may target kudu, impala, waterbuck, or whatever large prey is abundant. Once prey is identified, the lionesses use remarkably sophisticated coordination. They don't merely chase prey randomly. Instead, they often employ what can only be described as strategic positioning. Some lionesses will move to flanking positions or circle around to positions where fleeing prey is likely to run. Others remain in place, waiting to intercept panicked animals. When the moment is right, the chase begins. lion hunts succeed approximately 25 to 30% of the time, a significantly higher success rate than that of solitary tigers or leopards. This increased success comes from the benefits of cooperation. Multiple lionesses can surround and confuse prey, cut off escape routes, and provide backup if one attacker is shaken off. For very large prey like adult buffalo, cooperation becomes essential. No single lioness could safely take down an animal that weighs 600 kilograms or more and possesses deadly horns. But several working together can overwhelm even these formidable prey animals. The killing method lions employ is typically suffocation. Once prey is brought down, usually by one lioness leaping onto its back or flanks and using her weight and claws to drag it down, another lioness often clamps her jaws over the prey's muzzle or throat, cutting off the air supply. The prey struggles, but with multiple lions holding it down, escape becomes impossible. Death follows within minutes, though it must be a terrifying experience for the prey animal. After a successful kill, the social dynamics of feeding become apparent. Despite their cooperation in hunting, lions don't share food equally. When males are present at a kill, they typically feed first, using their size and aggression to claim the best portions. This might seem unfair, but it makes evolutionary sense. The male's primary role is defending the pride, which requires them to maintain their imposing size and strength. After the males have eaten their fill, the adult females feed, followed finally by cubs. In times of scarcity, cubs may receive very little and face the very real possibility of starvation. The pride structure provides benefits beyond cooperative hunting. Cubs in a pride gain significant advantages from communal care. Lionesses often nurse each other's cubs, a behavior called alloparenting. While mothers do prioritize their own offspring, they're generally permissive about other cubs nursing, particularly if those cubs are from close relatives. This communal nursing is especially beneficial when cubs are orphaned or when a mother is unable to produce sufficient milk. Cubs also benefit from the presence of multiple protective adults. A group of females is much more effective at defending cubs from predators than a single mother would be. Lionesses sometimes synchronize their breeding, giving birth at roughly the same time. This synchrony creates a creche, a nursery group where mothers and cubs stay together, forming a subunit within the larger pride. The benefits of this arrangement are multiple. Predators face a formidable group of protective mothers rather than isolated individuals. Cubs have playmates of similar age, important for developing social and hunting skills. And the collective vigilance of multiple mothers increases the chances that any approaching threat will be detected early. The social bonds within a pride are reinforced through behaviors that seem remarkably similar to human social interactions. Lions spend considerable time engaged in social grooming, with pride members licking each other's faces, manes, and bodies. This allogrooming serves practical functions, helping to remove parasites and clean areas the lion can't reach itself. But it also serves a critical social function, reinforcing bonds between individuals. Lions also engage in social play, rubbing heads together in greeting, resting in contact with each other, and generally maintaining close physical proximity. Communication among pride members is complex and multifaceted. Lions are famous for their roar, which can be heard across the savanna for distances of 5 kilometers or more under favorable conditions. Roaring serves multiple functions. It advertises territorial ownership to potential intruders, helps pride members stay in contact when separated, and may play a role in coordinating activities. Interestingly, lions can assess the number of individuals in a roaring group and will only challenge intruders if they believe they outnumber them. Beyond roaring, lions produce a variety of other vocalizations. They purr when content, though unlike domestic cats, lions can only purr while exhaling. They grunt and moan in social contexts, particularly when greeting each other or coordinating movements. They growl and snarl when aggressive or defensive. Cubs produce distinctive calls that help their mothers locate them. All of these vocalizations, combined with visual signals like body posture, facial expressions, and tail positions, create a rich communication system. Territory size in lions varies enormously, depending on prey availability and habitat quality. In the prey-rich areas of the Serengeti, a pride's territory might encompass only 20 square kilometers. In more arid regions with scattered prey, territories can exceed 500 square kilometers. These territories are defended primarily through scent marking and vocal displays, rather than constant physical patrolling. Lions mark their territories with urine that contains chemical signals, encoding information about the marking individual's identity and reproductive state. They also leave visual marks by raking their claws down trees. The boundaries between territories aren't always rigidly maintained. In areas where territories meet, there may be overlapping zones that multiple prides use on a timeshare basis. However, direct encounters between prides are typically hostile and can result in serious injuries or deaths. Males are particularly aggressive toward intruding males, as such encounters represent direct threats to their reproductive success. Females are equally aggressive toward strange females, who represent competition for territory and resources. Not all lions live in prides. Some exist as nomads, individuals or small groups that wander without maintaining a fixed territory. These nomadic lions are typically younger animals that haven't yet established themselves, or older individuals that have been displaced. Life as a nomad is difficult. Without a territory, they must constantly move to avoid conflict with pride residents. They have less reliable access to prey and must be cautious about approaching kills, as pride lions will often drive them away aggressively. For females, nomadic life is particularly challenging, as raising cubs without the support of a pride greatly reduces offspring survival. The relationship between lions and their prey creates a complex ecological balance. Lions are what ecologists call a keystone species, meaning their influence on the ecosystem is disproportionate to their numbers. By preying primarily on herbivores, they help regulate these populations, preventing overgrazing. They also influence prey behavior patterns. Prey animals alter their movements, grouping behavior, and vigilance in response to lion presence, creating spatial and temporal patterns that cascade through the ecosystem. Lions also interact significantly with other predators. They're often in competition with spotted hyenas, and the relationship between these two species is complex and mutually antagonistic. Lions will steal kills from hyenas, and hyenas will steal from lions if they outnumber them. Direct confrontations can be fierce, with lions occasionally killing hyenas and vice versa, particularly when cubs are involved. Leopards and cheetahs generally avoid areas where lion density is high, as lions will kill these smaller cats if they catch them. The reproductive biology of lions follows similar patterns to other big cats, but with some notable differences influenced by their social structure. Unlike solitary cats, where females actively seek males when in estrus, lionesses in a pride have constant access to males. When a female enters estrus, which occurs every few weeks if she isn't pregnant or nursing, she may mate with multiple males from the coalition, though dominant males typically secure more mating opportunities. Mating is frequent during estrus, occurring dozens or even over 100 times per day over a period of several days. This high mating frequency may serve to stimulate ovulation and ensure fertilization. Gestation lasts approximately 110 days, similar to tigers. Litters typically contain 2 to 3 cubs, though up to 5 is possible. Lionesses usually separate from the pride to give birth, finding a secluded den where they'll remain with their cubs for the first 6 to 8 weeks. This isolation protects the vulnerable cubs from potential danger, including from other pride members. Once the cubs are old enough, the mother reintegrates them into the pride. Cub mortality is staggeringly high. In well-studied populations like those in the Serengeti and Kruger National Park, approximately 50 to 80% of cubs die before reaching 2 years of age. The causes are numerous: infanticide by incoming males, predation by hyenas, leopards, and other threats, starvation when prey is scarce, disease, and simple abandonment when mothers become focused on other activities and temporarily forget their cubs. This high mortality rate means that even in stable prides, only a fraction of cubs born will reach adulthood and contribute to the next generation. Cubs that do survive face a long period of dependency. They begin eating meat around 3 months, but continue nursing for up to 6 months. They start participating in hunts around 1 year, but won't be proficient hunters until they're closer to 2 years old. Young females typically remain with their birth pride, integrated into the existing female hierarchy. Young males face a different path: eviction from the pride, years of nomadic existence, and then, if they're successful and fortunate, the chance to challenge for and take over a pride of their own. The modern challenges facing lions mirror those of other big cats, with some unique complications. Lion populations have declined dramatically over the past century, losing approximately 43% of their population since the early 1990s. They currently occupy only about 8% of their historical range. Habitat loss is a primary driver, as expanding human populations convert grasslands and savannas to agricultural use. This brings lions into direct conflict with people, particularly pastoral communities that depend on livestock. Lions that prey on cattle, goats, and other domestic animals are often killed in retaliation, poisoned, snared, or shot. This human-wildlife conflict is perhaps the most intractable problem in lion conservation. From the perspective of someone who depends on their livestock for survival, a lion that kills their animals isn't a magnificent apex predator to be conserved. It's an existential threat to their family's well-being. Finding solutions that work for both people and lions requires creativity, resources, and ongoing commitment. Some promising approaches include building better enclosures for livestock, compensation programs for livestock losses, and community-based conservation initiatives that give local people economic benefits from wildlife tourism. Yet, despite these challenges, there are also conservation successes. Some lion populations, particularly in well-protected parks and reserves, have stabilized or even grown. organizations working on lion conservation have made significant strides in understanding lion ecology, developing anti-poaching strategies, and engaging local communities. The future of lions remains precarious, but it's not hopeless. These social monarchs of the savannah continue to thrive in places where they're given space and protection, reminding us that conservation, while difficult, is possible. If we were to choose a single word to characterize the leopard, it might be adaptable. Of all the big cats, the leopard has perhaps the widest distribution and the broadest ecological tolerance, thriving in environments from arid deserts to tropical rainforests, from lowland jungles to mountains at over 5,000 meters elevation. This remarkable adaptability stems from the leopard's combination of stealth, strength, opportunism, and behavioral flexibility. A leopard, Panthera pardus, is a medium-sized big cat, smaller than tigers and lions, but larger than most other felids. Males typically weigh between 40 and 90 kilograms, with regional variation accounting for much of this range. Females are smaller, usually weighing between 30 and 60 kilograms. Their relatively compact size, compared to lions and tigers, is actually an advantage in many ways, allowing them to navigate dense forest environments, climb with agility that their larger cousins can't match, and subsist on a wider variety of prey. The leopard's coat is one of nature's most beautiful creations. A golden yellow background covered in rosettes, dark markings arranged in a roughly circular pattern with lighter centers. These aren't merely decorative. In the dappled light and shadow of forest environments, these rosettes break up the leopard's outline, making it remarkably difficult to see even at close range. The specific pattern varies geographically. East African leopards tend to have more circular rosettes, while southern African leopards have squarish rosettes, and Asian leopards have larger rosettes. But regardless of the exact pattern, the function is the same: camouflage that allows a leopard to become virtually invisible when motionless. Leopards also exhibit remarkable color variation. Some individuals are melanistic, possessing a genetic mutation that causes their coat to appear entirely black. These black panthers still have rosettes. They're simply difficult to see against the dark background. Melanism appears to be more common in forested environments and at higher elevations, perhaps because the dark coloration provides advantages in low light conditions. There are also reports of leucistic leopards, individuals with abnormally pale coloration, though these are extremely rare. What truly sets leopards apart from other big cats is their incredible versatility in virtually every aspect of their biology and behavior. While tigers are obligate forest dwellers and lions are creatures of open savanna, leopards can thrive in both environments and many others besides. They've been recorded in deserts in Namibia, rainforests in Borneo, mountains in the Himalayas, and even in suburban areas on the outskirts of major cities in India and Africa. This adaptability is possible because leopards have evolved to be generalist predators, opportunists capable of adjusting their behavior to whatever circumstances they encounter. Leopards are solitary animals, coming together only briefly to mate. Both males and females maintain territories that they mark with scent from urine and feces, as well as claw marks on trees. Male territories are typically larger than female territories and often overlap with the ranges of several females, the ideal situation from the male's reproductive perspective. The size of these territories varies dramatically depending on prey availability and habitat quality. In prey-rich areas of Africa, territories might be only 10 to 30 square kilometers. In regions with scarce prey, they can exceed several hundred square kilometers. Within their territories, leopards are overwhelmingly nocturnal, though they'll also hunt during crepuscular periods at dawn and dusk. Approximately 70% of camera trap photos of leopards are taken at night, reflecting their preference for darkness. This nocturnal habit serves multiple functions. It allows them to hunt when many prey species are active, but visibility is poor, giving the leopard's superior night vision a decisive advantage. It also helps them avoid larger predators like lions and tigers, which can kill leopards if they catch them. And it minimizes encounters with humans, an increasingly important consideration as human activity expands into leopard habitat. The leopard's hunting strategy exemplifies patience and stealth. Unlike cheetahs that rely on blazing speed, or lions that employ cooperative tactics, leopards are solitary ambush predators. A hunt typically begins with the leopard moving quietly through its territory, using its excellent hearing and sense of smell to detect potential prey. Once prey is located, the leopard begins a slow, careful approach, using every available bit of cover. A leopard can move with such deliberate care that it's essentially silent, each paw placement tested before weight is committed, body held low to the ground, moving during moments when the prey's attention is elsewhere. This stalking phase can last for an extended period as the leopard closes the distance. The goal is to get within 15 to 20 meters before launching the final attack. At this distance, the leopard's explosive acceleration can close the gap before prey has time to react effectively. When the moment is right, the leopard springs forward, covering the distance in a few powerful bounds. The attack is typically aimed at the prey's throat or nape, with the leopard's sharp claws gripping the prey's body while its jaws seek the killing bite. For smaller prey, leopards often deliver a bite to the back of the skull, their canines punching through bone to deliver a fatal blow to the brain. For larger prey, they employ a suffocating throat bite similar to that used by lions and tigers. The entire attack, from the final charge to the prey's death, typically lasts only seconds to minutes, a brief, violent conclusion to what may have been hours of patient stalking. One of the leopard's most distinctive behaviors is hauling kills into trees. This isn't universal. Leopards don't always tree their kills, particularly if the prey is large or if there aren't suitable trees nearby. But when conditions are right, a leopard will use its phenomenal strength to drag a carcass, sometimes one heavier than the leopard itself, up into a tree, often placing it in the fork of branches where it's secure. This behavior serves a critical function. It protects the kill from scavengers. On the ground, hyenas, lions, wild dogs, and other competitors might steal the kill. In a tree, the food is safe, allowing the leopard to feed on it over several days. The strength required for this feat is genuinely impressive. Leopards have been observed carrying prey weighing 50 kilograms or more up vertical tree trunks, sometimes to heights of 6 meters or more. Their muscular build, powerful forelimbs, and enlarged scapula all contribute to this ability, as does their remarkable climbing skill. Among big cats, only the clouded leopard rivals the leopard's arboreal abilities. The leopard's diet reflects its opportunistic nature. These cats prey on an astonishing variety of animals, with studies documenting over 90 different prey species in some populations. In Africa, common prey includes impala, bushbuck, duikers, and other small to medium antelopes. In Asia, they hunt deer species, wild pigs, and primates. But leopards will also take much smaller prey when larger animals aren't available. Rodents, hares, birds, reptiles, insects, and even fish. This dietary flexibility is crucial to their success across such diverse habitats. Leopards also exhibit flexibility in how they respond to the presence of other predators. In areas where they coexist with tigers, leopards tend to shift towards smaller prey and adjust their activity patterns to minimize overlap with the larger cats. Where lions are present, leopards become even more cautious and secretive, often becoming more arboreal and nocturnal. They've even been observed altering their vocalizations in areas with high lion density, perhaps to avoid attracting unwanted attention. The reproductive biology of leopards follows the general pattern seen in most big cats. Females experience estrous cycles that occur approximately every 40 to 50 days if they're not pregnant or nursing. When in heat, females advertise their condition through scent marking and vocalizations, including a characteristic sawing call that can carry considerable distances. Males in the area respond to these signals, and if multiple males converge on a receptive female, there may be competition, though serious fights are relatively rare. Once a male and female come together, they may remain associated for several days, mating repeatedly. After this brief period, the male departs and takes no part in raising the cubs. The female's gestation period lasts approximately 90 to 105 days, after which she gives birth to a litter of 2 to 3 cubs, though anywhere from 1 to 6 is possible. The cubs are born blind and helpless, weighing only about 500 grams each. The mother leopard selects a den site for giving birth, often in a cave, rock crevice, dense thicket, or hollow tree. For the first few weeks, she rarely leaves the cubs except to hunt. As they grow and become more mobile, she may move them to new den sites, carrying them one at a time in her mouth. This movement helps protect them from predators that might discover the den location. Leopard cubs face numerous threats. Lions, hyenas, and other predators will kill leopard cubs if they find them. The mother's strategy is to keep them hidden and to move them frequently. She's also extremely protective, willing to defend her cubs aggressively if necessary. Despite these efforts, cub mortality is high, with many never reaching independence. Cubs begin eating meat around 2 to 3 months of age, but continue nursing for several months. The mother brings prey back to the cubs, or leads them to cached kills in trees. Through observation and practice, they gradually learn the complex skills needed for successful hunting. By about 1 year of age, young leopards are beginning to hunt small prey on their own, though they'll remain with their mother, continuing to learn and refine their skills until they're approximately 18 to 24 months old. When they finally separate from their mother, young leopards face the challenge of establishing their own territories. Females sometimes establish territories adjacent to or overlapping with their mother's range. Males typically disperse further, seeking to find unoccupied areas or to challenge weaker males for existing territories. This dispersal phase is dangerous, with many young leopards perishing due to starvation, conflict with established adults, or encounters with other predators. The adaptability that makes leopards so successful also creates challenges for their conservation. Because leopards can survive in human-modified landscapes, and even in proximity to human settlements, they often come into conflict with people. Leopards that prey on livestock are frequently killed in retaliation. In some areas, they're hunted for their beautiful pelts, despite international protections. Road accidents claim others, and habitat loss, while less immediately catastrophic for leopards than for species with stricter habitat requirements, still poses long-term threats. Yet leopards also demonstrate resilience. Their populations, while declining in many areas, remain more stable than those of most other big cats. They persist in landscapes where tigers and lions have long been extirpated. In places like India, leopards have shown a remarkable ability to coexist with dense human populations, dwelling in forest fragments, agricultural areas, and even on the edges of major cities. This resilience doesn't mean leopards don't need conservation attention. They do. But it does suggest that with appropriate management, leopards have a better chance of long-term survival than some of their more specialized relatives. In the dense rainforests of South and Central America, a predator moves through the shadows with the same stealth as its African and Asian cousins, yet possessing distinctive characteristics that set it apart. The jaguar, Panthera onca, is the only big cat native to the Americas, the third largest cat species globally after tigers and lions, and a predator whose adaptations reflect the unique challenges of its neotropical environment. Adult male jaguars are powerfully built, weighing between 100 and 250 pounds, with exceptional individuals reaching even higher weights. Females are smaller but still formidable, typically weighing between 80 and 160 pounds. But these weight figures don't fully capture the jaguar's most striking characteristic, its remarkable robustness. Pound for pound, jaguars are considered the strongest of all big cats, their muscular build giving them a stocky, powerful appearance quite different from the more graceful proportions of leopards, or the lean elegance of cheetahs. The jaguar's coat is similar to the leopard's, featuring rosettes on a tawny gold background. But jaguar rosettes are typically larger and have one or more dots in the center, whereas leopard rosettes are usually empty. Like leopards, jaguars also exhibit melanism, with some individuals appearing entirely black. These melanistic jaguars, black panthers, are particularly common in dense forest environments. Whether spotted or black, the coat pattern serves the same fundamental purpose: camouflage in the dappled light and deep shadows of the forest environment. The jaguar's most distinctive feature isn't visible from the outside. It's their skull and jaw structure. Jaguars possess the most powerful bite force relative to their body size of any big cat, capable of generating up to 2,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. This extraordinary bite force enables a killing method that's unique among big cats: the skull-crushing bite. While lions, tigers, and leopards typically kill by suffocation, clamping down on the throat and maintaining their grip until the prey stops breathing, jaguars often bite directly through the skull of their prey, their canines punching through the temporal bones to deliver a fatal blow directly to the brain. This killing method isn't merely a quirk, it's an adaptation to the jaguar's prey base and environment. Jaguars commonly prey on reptiles with hard shells or thick skin, turtles, caimans, and even anacondas, animals that would be difficult or impossible to suffocate. The skull-crushing bite provides a quick, efficient way to dispatch such prey. Even when hunting mammals, Jaguars often employ this method, approaching prey from behind and delivering a devastating bite to the back of the head. The jaguar's habitat preferences reveal another distinctive characteristic: their affinity for water. Unlike most cats, which typically avoid water, jaguars are excellent swimmers and are often found near rivers, lakes, and wetlands. The Amazon basin and the Pantanal, a vast tropical wetland in Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay, are strongholds of jaguar populations. In these water-rich environments, jaguars have developed hunting strategies that incorporate an aquatic element. Jaguars routinely swim across rivers, including channels that would deter most other predators. They've been documented swimming distances exceeding 5 kilometers without rest, demonstrating remarkable aquatic endurance. This swimming ability gives them access to prey that other terrestrial predators can't reach. Jaguars hunt along riverbanks, ambushing animals that come to drink. They're also known to hunt in the water itself, catching fish, and occasionally even pursuing caimans, crocodilian reptiles that can be formidable prey. The image of a jaguar hunting a caiman is one of the most dramatic scenarios in nature. The cat approaches along the riverbank with its characteristic stealth, then enters the water with barely a ripple. It swims toward the caiman, which may be basking at the water's edge or floating just offshore. In an explosive burst, the jaguar lunges, grabbing the caiman's head or neck in its powerful jaws. The caiman thrashes, but the jaguar's bite is already doing its work, crushing through skull and spinal column. Within moments, the struggle is over, and the jaguar drags its prey to shore. This affinity for water extends beyond hunting. Jaguars use water to regulate their body temperature, often lounging in shallow streams during the heat of the day. They're comfortable in flooded forests, moving through waterlogged environments that would be challenging for most terrestrial predators. This aquatic adaptability is partly what allows jaguars to thrive in the seasonally flooded environments of the Pantanal and parts of the Amazon, where water levels can fluctuate dramatically between wet and dry seasons. Like leopards, jaguars are solitary and territorial. Males maintain territories that can span up to 50 square miles in areas with abundant prey, though territories in less productive habitat may be even larger. These territories typically overlap with those of several females, the ideal reproductive strategy from the male's perspective. Territory boundaries are marked with scent from urine and feces, as well as claw marks on trees and other visual signs. Intruding jaguars that don't heed these warnings and are caught trespassing may be attacked savagely and sometimes killed. Jaguars are primarily crepuscular and nocturnal, most active during dawn, dusk, and night. This activity pattern helps them avoid the intense heat of the tropical day and coincides with the activity patterns of many prey species. During their active periods, jaguars patrol their territories, traveling along riverbanks, forest trails, and known game paths, their eyes and ears alert for any sign of prey. The jaguar's prey base is remarkably diverse. Studies have documented at least 85 different species in jaguar diets across their range. Large ungulates like deer, peccaries, and capybaras form a significant portion of their diet in many areas. But jaguars are truly opportunistic, also hunting armadillos, monkeys, birds, fish, reptiles, including snakes and lizards, and occasionally even anacondas. They're one of the few predators willing and able to tackle adult tapirs, large herbivores that can weigh several hundred kilograms. And as mentioned, they regularly prey on caimans, demonstrating a level of predatory versatility that few other big cats match. The hunting strategy jaguars employ is typical of solitary ambush predators. Patient stalking, followed by a sudden explosive attack. What distinguishes jaguar hunts is their willingness to launch their attack from water, or to pursue prey into water. A jaguar hunting along a riverbank might spot a capybara drinking downstream, then slip into the water and approach underwater, barely visible, before bursting forth to grab the startled prey. Or it might ambush a monkey that has come too close to the water's edge, the attack so sudden that the prey has no chance to escape. Jaguars also hunt in trees, though they're not as arboreal as leopards. They're capable climbers and will ascend trees to rest during the day or to pursue arboreal prey. In some areas, they've been observed resting in trees overhanging game trails, then dropping onto passing prey in an attack that combines surprise with gravity. However, this behavior appears to be relatively uncommon compared to their ground-based hunting. Reproduction in jaguars follows patterns similar to other big cats. There's no fixed breeding season. Females enter estrus periodically, and mating can occur at any time of year. When a female is receptive, she advertises through scent marking and vocalizations. Male jaguars vocalize with a deep, coughing roar that lacks the sustained quality of a lion's roar, but can still carry considerable distances through the forest. Males who detect a receptive female will seek her out, and if multiple males converge, there may be competition. The mating pair stays together for several days, during which they may mate up to 100 times per day, one of the highest mating frequencies among big cats. After this intensive mating period, the male departs. The female's gestation lasts approximately 93 to 105 days, after which she gives birth to a litter of 1 to 4 cubs, though 2 is most common. The cubs are born with their eyes closed, opening them after about 2 weeks. Jaguar cubs remain with their mother for an extended period, typically 18 to 24 months. During this time, she teaches them the full range of skills they'll need to survive. Hunting techniques for terrestrial and aquatic prey, swimming, climbing, territory establishment, and the art of stealth that defines jaguar behavior. When they finally separate, young jaguars must find their own territories, a challenging process that many don't survive. The challenges facing jaguars in the modern world are severe and multifaceted. Historically, jaguars ranged from the southwestern United States through Central and South America to northern Argentina. They inhabited diverse environments, including tropical rainforests, dry forests, grasslands, and even semi-arid regions. Today, they've lost more than 50% of their historical range, with populations fragmented and declining in many areas. Habitat loss is perhaps the most significant threat. The Amazon rainforest, the jaguar's primary stronghold, is being destroyed at an alarming rate for logging, agriculture, and cattle ranching. As forest is cleared, jaguar habitat disappears, and populations become isolated in fragments that may be too small to sustain viable numbers. Deforestation also leads to human-jaguar conflict. As prey becomes scarce in disturbed habitats, jaguars increasingly turn to livestock, which brings them into deadly conflict with ranchers who kill them in retaliation or preemptively. Jaguars also face threats from poaching. While commercial hunting for jaguar skins, once a massive threat, has declined significantly since protective measures were implemented in the 1970s. Jaguars are still killed for their teeth, claws, and other body parts, which are sought after for traditional medicine and as ornaments. The illegal trade in jaguar parts has grown in recent years, driven largely by demand from Asia, creating a new threat to these already imperiled cats. Yet, there's also hope. The jaguar's current stronghold, the Amazon and Pantanal regions, still holds substantial populations. Unlike tigers or lions, whose ranges have been reduced to tiny fractions of their historical extent, jaguars still have large areas of relatively intact habitat. Conservation efforts are increasingly focusing on protecting these core areas and maintaining or restoring connectivity between them, allowing jaguars to move across the landscape and maintain genetic diversity. An innovative conservation approach recognizes that jaguars, uniquely among big cats, still exist as a single continuous population across much of their range rather than as isolated subpopulations. The Jaguar 2030 Conservation Programme, initiated by the United Nations Development Programme, aims to protect habitat corridors that allow jaguars to move between populations, ensuring genetic mixing and long-term viability. This approach recognizes that saving jaguars means thinking at a continental scale, protecting not just parks and reserves, but the connective tissue of habitat that links them. High in the mountains of Central and South Asia, where the air is thin and the landscape is dominated by rock, ice, and sparse vegetation, dwells a cat so elusive that it has earned the nickname Ghost of the Mountains. The snow leopard, Panthera untia, is one of the most specialized of all big cats, evolved to thrive in an environment so harsh that few other large predators can survive there. Snow leopards are medium-sized cats, notably smaller than tigers or lions. Adult males typically weigh between 55 and 75 kilograms, while females weigh between 35 and 55 kilograms. But what they lack in size, they make up for in adaptation to their extreme environment. Every aspect of the snow leopard's biology reflects the challenges of life at high altitude. The snow leopard's coat is one of its most distinctive features. The fur is exceptionally thick and long, growing up to 5 inches in length, particularly on the underside and tail. This dense pelage provides crucial insulation against temperatures that can drop to -40 degrees Celsius or colder. The coloration is equally distinctive, a pale grey or cream background covered in dark rosettes and spots that merge into solid grey along the spine and fade to white on the underside. This coloration provides superb camouflage among the rocky cliffs and snow-covered slopes of their habitat. A motionless snow leopard pressed against a rocky outcrop becomes essentially invisible even at relatively close range. The snow leopard's most immediately recognizable feature is its extraordinarily long, thick tail, which can be 3 to 4 feet in length, nearly as long as the animal's body. This tail serves multiple crucial functions. It acts as a counterbalance when the cat navigates narrow ledges and makes sharp turns on steep slopes. It serves as a rudder during the tremendous leaps snow leopards are capable of making, helping them maintain stability and adjust their trajectory mid-air. And perhaps most importantly, it functions as a portable blanket. When resting in frigid conditions, a snow leopard wraps its tail around its body, covering its face and providing additional insulation for its nose and mouth. The tail also stores fat, an important energy reserve, in an environment where meals can be unpredictable. The snow leopard's paws represent another remarkable adaptation. They're large and broad, covered in thick fur even on the pads. This design serves two purposes. The fur provides insulation against the cold ground, and the large surface area acts like a natural snowshoe, distributing the cat's weight over a larger area and preventing it from sinking in deep snow. Combined with relatively short legs that keep the cat's body close to the ground and provide stability on steep slopes, these paw adaptations allow snow leopards to move with confidence across terrain that would be treacherous for other animals. The snow leopard's respiratory system is adapted to the thin air of high altitudes. Its nasal passages are large relative to the size of its skull, allowing it to inhale more air with each breath. As this cold, dry air passes through the enlarged nasal passages, it's warmed before reaching the lungs. However, snow leopards aren't specifically adapted to low oxygen levels at high altitude, in the same way that some other mountain-dwelling species are. Instead, they cope with oxygen scarcity, partly by having larger lungs, and partly by adjusting their activity levels. The habitat of snow leopards spans 12 countries across Central and South Asia, including Afghanistan, Bhutan, China, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, Nepal, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. They're found primarily in the Great Mountain Ranges of Asia, the Himalayas, Karakoram, Hindu Kush, Pamir, Tian Shan, and Altai. In the Himalayas, they typically occur at elevations between 3,000 and 5,400 meters, though in Mongolia and Russia, they can be found at lower elevations, occasionally descending to 1,000 meters. This high-altitude habitat is characterized by steep cliffs, rocky outcrops, and deep gorges. Vegetation is sparse, consisting primarily of grasses, low shrubs, and occasional patches of forest at lower elevations. The terrain is deeply dissected by glacial activity, with numerous caves, crevices, and overhanging rocks that snow leopards use for shelter and den sites. The landscape is harsh and unforgiving, subject to extreme cold, intense solar radiation, and dramatic temperature fluctuations between day and night. Snow leopards prey primarily on wild sheep and goats that are themselves adapted to mountain life. Blue sheep, also called barrel, and ibex form the core of their diet in many areas, supplemented by marmots, pikas, hares, and birds. These prey animals are themselves remarkably adapted to their environment, agile and alert, capable of detecting predators and fleeing across terrain that would break the leg of most pursuers. Hunting them requires exceptional skill. The snow leopard's hunting strategy reflects the challenges of its environment. These cats are primarily crepuscular, most active during dawn and dusk, though they'll hunt at any time if opportunity presents. They use the broken terrain to their advantage, stalking prey from above whenever possible. A snow leopard might position itself on a cliff or ridge overlooking a valley where prey is feeding, then slowly, patiently descend, using every rock and fold in the terrain for cover. When the snow leopard judges the distance right, typically within 30 to 40 meters, it launches its attack. The initial charge is explosive, the cat bounding down the slope, using gravity to increase its speed. Snow leopards are capable of tremendous leaps, up to 15 meters horizontally and 6 meters vertically, allowing them to clear gaps and obstacles that would stop other predators. The prey, usually grazing or browsing, has only seconds to react. If the snow leopard makes contact, it uses its momentum and the terrain to its advantage. Rather than trying to wrestle a struggling prey animal to the ground on a steep slope where footing is treacherous, the snow leopard often delivers its killing bite immediately, targeting the nape of the neck or throat. The attack is often so swift and the terrain so difficult that once a snow leopard has caught its prey, the outcome is rarely in doubt. Interestingly, snow leopards sometimes hunt in pairs, particularly mating pairs during the breeding season. This cooperative hunting is rare among cats outside of lions, and may represent an adaptation to particularly challenging prey or terrain. Two snow leopards hunting together can more effectively corner prey, or ensure that if one attack fails, the other cat is positioned to intercept the fleeing animal. After a successful hunt, a snow leopard may remain with the kill for several days. An adult snow leopard can consume about 3 to 4 kilograms of meat per day, and a single blue sheep can provide food for nearly a week if the cat isn't disturbed. In the harsh conditions of the mountains, where hunting is energetically expensive and success isn't guaranteed, maximizing the value of each kill is essential. Snow leopards are solitary animals, coming together only briefly during the breeding season. Both males and females maintain home ranges, though the term territory is perhaps less applicable than for some other cats, as snow leopards seem to have somewhat more tolerance for overlap in their ranges. Male home ranges are typically larger than female ranges and overlap with the ranges of several females. The size of these ranges varies enormously depending on prey availability, from as little as 12 square kilometers in prime habitat in Nepal to over 500 square kilometers in Mongolia's more austere landscapes. Snow leopards mark their territories with scent from urine and feces, as well as scrapes, marks made by raking the ground with their hind claws. They also leave scent marks by rubbing their cheeks against rocks and other prominent features. These marks serve to advertise their presence to other snow leopards, helping to space individuals out and reduce direct encounters and potential conflicts. The social behavior of snow leopards is more nuanced than simple solitary territoriality. Research has revealed that in some areas, snow leopards may form resident pairs, with a male and female maintaining territories that substantially overlap and tolerating each other's presence year-round. This is quite different from the pattern seen in most other solitary cats, where males and females only associate briefly for mating. The adaptive value of this pair bonding in snow leopards isn't fully understood, but may relate to the challenges of their environment. Having a partner might provide benefits in terms of territory defense, or perhaps even hunting efficiency in particularly difficult terrain. Reproduction in snow leopards is seasonal, unlike most other big cats. Mating occurs primarily in late winter, typically between January and March. Females in estrus vocalize with a distinctive moaning call that can carry across mountain valleys, attracting males from considerable distances. When males locate a receptive female, they may remain together for several days, mating repeatedly. As with other cats, multiple matings likely serve to ensure fertilization. After a gestation period of approximately 90 to 100 days, the female gives birth in a sheltered den, often a cave or rock crevice lined with her shed fur for insulation. Litter size typically ranges from 1 to 3 cubs, with 2 being most common. The cubs are born with thick, fuzzy grey coats and closed eyes, which open after about 7 days. For the first few months, the cubs remain in or very near the den, nursing and gradually growing stronger. The mother must leave them periodically to hunt, but she returns frequently to nurse and protect them. As they grow and become more mobile, she begins to bring them meat, introducing them to their carnivorous diet. By 5 months of age, the cubs are beginning to accompany their mother on hunting trips, though they won't be proficient hunters for many more months. Young snow leopards remain with their mother for approximately 18 to 22 months, an extended dependency period that reflects the complexity of the skills they must master. They must learn to navigate the treacherous mountain terrain, to stalk and capture elusive prey, to survive in conditions where temperatures plummet and food can be scarce, and eventually to establish and defend their own territories. This long apprenticeship is essential. Snow leopards that separate from their mothers too early face very low survival odds. The challenges facing snow leopards are numerous and severe. They're classified as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, with a global population estimated at fewer than 10,000 mature individuals and declining. Their range is vast, spanning an area of nearly 3 million square kilometers. But much of this is marginal habitat, and snow leopard populations are often small and isolated. Poaching is a significant threat. Snow leopards are killed for their beautiful pelts, which still command high prices in illegal markets despite international protections. They're also killed for bones and other body parts used in traditional medicine. Additionally, retaliatory killing by herders whose livestock has been preyed upon accounts for a substantial portion of snow leopard mortality. In communities that depend on livestock for survival, the loss of even a few animals to a snow leopard can be devastating, leading people to kill the cats through poisoning, shooting, or snaring. Habitat loss and degradation are also concerns, though perhaps less immediately catastrophic than for some other big cats. Mining operations, road construction, and other infrastructure development fragment snow leopard habitat. Climate change is altering their environment in ways that are difficult to predict, but potentially severe, with rising temperatures causing tree lines to shift upward, potentially reducing the amount of suitable alpine habitat. Prey populations are declining in many areas due to competition with livestock for forage and due to unsustainable hunting. Yet, there's also reason for cautious optimism. Snow leopards have captured the public imagination, and conservation efforts have expanded significantly in recent decades. Innovative programs are working to reduce human-wildlife conflict through improved livestock protection, insurance schemes for livestock losses, and community-based conservation that gives local people economic incentives to protect rather than persecute snow leopards. Research using camera traps, GPS collars, and genetic analysis is providing unprecedented insights into snow leopard ecology, allowing for more effective conservation strategies. Organizations like the Snow Leopard Trust and the Global Snow Leopard and Ecosystem Protection Program are coordinating efforts across the species range. If the snow leopard represents adaptation to harsh high-altitude environments, the cheetah represents adaptation to a completely different challenge: the need for speed. The cheetah, Achinonyx jubatus, holds the title of fastest land animal on Earth, capable of reaching speeds that seem almost impossible for a living creature. But this singular focus on speed has required trade-offs, making the cheetah simultaneously one of evolution's most impressive achievements and one of its most vulnerable. The cheetah is a medium-sized cat, built along radically different lines from other big cats. Adult males typically weigh between 40 and 60 kilograms, with females slightly lighter. But these weights don't capture what makes cheetahs so distinctive: Unlike the robust, muscular build of jaguars or the powerful proportions of tigers, the cheetah is lean, almost delicate in appearance. Every aspect of its body is designed to minimize weight and maximize speed. The cheetah's skeleton is remarkably lightweight, with bones that are more slender than those of comparably sized cats. The skull is small and rounded, streamlined to reduce air resistance. The chest is deep, housing oversized lungs and heart that can pump blood and deliver oxygen at rates that support the extraordinary metabolic demands of sprinting. The body is narrow and elongated, creating an aerodynamic profile. The legs are long and slender, built for stride length rather than raw power. Perhaps most distinctive is the cheetah's spine. Unlike other cats, which have relatively inflexible spines, the cheetah's spine is remarkably flexible, acting like a coiled spring. During a sprint, the spine alternately flexes and extends with each stride, allowing the hind legs to reach far forward, past the front legs, then pushing off explosively as the spine extends. This flexion and extension effectively increases stride length beyond what would be possible with a rigid spine. At top speed, a cheetah's stride can measure 7 to 8 meters from toe off to toe off, with the cat spending more time airborne than in contact with the ground. The cheetah's claws are another distinctive feature. Unlike other cats, which have fully retractable claws that they can extend and retract at will, cheetahs have semi-retractable claws. These claws are more exposed than those of other cats, somewhat blunted by contact with the ground, but still sharp enough to be effective weapons. The incompletely retractable claws act like the cleats on athletic shoes, providing extra traction during acceleration and when making sharp turns at high speed. The paw pads themselves have a texture similar to tire treads, providing additional grip. The tail is another critical component of the cheetah's speed-adapted anatomy. Long and muscular, sometimes ending in a distinctive bushy tuft with dark rings, the tail acts as a rudder and counterbalance. When a cheetah makes a sharp turn at high speed, pursuing an evasive prey animal that's trying to escape through sudden changes in direction, the tail whips to one side, helping to counterbalance the centrifugal forces that would otherwise cause the cat to tumble. High-speed video analysis has shown that the tail's movements are precisely coordinated with the body's turns, acting almost like a pilot's control surface. The cheetah's sensory adaptations are oriented toward its daytime hunting lifestyle. Unlike most other big cats, which are primarily nocturnal or crepuscular, cheetahs hunt during the day, particularly in the early morning and late afternoon. This diurnal lifestyle is partly an adaptation to avoid competition with larger predators like lions and leopards, which are most active at night. The cheetah's eyes reflect this daytime orientation. While they still have the tapetum lucidum that gives cats excellent low-light vision, cheetahs have sacrificed some night vision capability in exchange for enhanced binocular vision and the ability to focus on fast-moving prey during daylight. The distinctive black tear marks that run from the inner corner of each eye down to the mouth are thought to serve multiple functions. They may reduce glare from the sun, similar to eye black worn by athletes. They might enhance the cheetah's ability to focus on prey during a chase by reducing the visual field and eliminating distracting peripheral stimuli. And they may serve a social function, making facial expressions more visible to other cheetahs. The cheetah's habitat is primarily open grasslands and savannas of eastern and southern Africa. though small populations persist in scattered locations, and a critically endangered population of Asiatic cheetahs survives in Iran. These open environments are essential to the cheetah's hunting strategy. Unlike leopards that rely on dense cover to stalk close to prey, or tigers that ambush from forest shadows, cheetahs need open ground where they can use their speed advantage. The cheetah's social system is more complex than that of most other solitary cats. Adult females are solitary, establishing home ranges that can span hundreds of square kilometers in areas with migratory prey. These home ranges aren't aggressively defended territories in the same sense as those of leopards or tigers. Instead, females roam widely, following prey movements and avoiding conflicts with other predators. Males, in contrast, often form coalitions, typically consisting of brothers from the same litter. These male coalitions, usually 2 or 3 individuals, but occasionally as many as 4 or 5, establish and defend territories together. Coalition territories are smaller than female home ranges, typically encompassing key resources like waterholes that attract prey. By defending a prime piece of real estate, coalition males increase their chances of encountering receptive females. Coalition living also provides advantages in defense against rival males and in protecting kills from scavengers. Solitary males, either individuals who lack brothers or who have lost their coalition partners, have a more difficult existence. Without the support of a coalition, they're less able to defend territories and must live as nomads, moving constantly and having fewer opportunities to mate. The contrast in reproductive success between coalition and solitary males is stark, with coalition members fathering far more offspring. When a cheetah hunts, it employs a strategy that capitalizes on its speed, but also recognizes the limitations imposed by that specialization. A hunt typically begins with the cheetah using elevated vantage points like termite mounds or the tops of boulders to scan the surrounding landscape for prey. Cheetahs primarily hunt small to medium-sized antelope, with Thompson's gazelles and impalas being favored prey in many areas. They also hunt the young of larger species and occasionally take smaller prey like hares or game birds. Once potential prey is spotted, the cheetah begins to stalk, moving closer, using whatever cover is available. Unlike the patient, hours-long stalks of tigers or leopards, the cheetah's stalk is relatively brief, typically lasting only a few minutes. The goal is to close the distance to within about 50 to 100 meters, close enough that the final sprint has a reasonable chance of success, but not so close that the prey detects the predator prematurely. When the cheetah judges the distance optimal, the chase begins. The acceleration is almost beyond belief. From a standstill, a cheetah can reach speeds of over 60 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. The cat continues to accelerate, its flexible spine pumping like a piston, legs becoming a blur of motion. Top speeds are estimated to be between 93 and 120 kilometers per hour. Though measuring exactly how fast a cheetah runs has proven challenging, and estimates vary. But perhaps more impressive than the top speed is the cheetah's ability to maneuver at high velocity. When the gazelle attempts to escape through a sudden sharp turn, a tactic that often allows prey to evade predators, the cheetah mirrors the movement with astonishing precision. Its spine flexes, its tail whips around, its clawed feet grip the earth, and it arcs through the turn without losing significant speed. In this moment, prey and predator execute a deadly dance, the gazelle zigging and zagging in increasingly desperate attempts to escape, the cheetah matching every move. The chase rarely lasts more than 20 to 30 seconds. Cheetahs can't sustain maximum speed for longer than that before their muscles fatigue and their body temperature rises to dangerous levels. If the cat hasn't caught its prey within this window, it must break off the chase or risk heat stroke. The high-speed pursuit is so metabolically demanding that the cheetah's body temperature can spike by several degrees, and it must rest for extended periods after a chase to cool down and recover. If the chase is successful, the cheetah typically brings down its prey using a technique unique among big cats. Rather than trying to pull the prey down with its claws or body weight, the cheetah uses what's called the ankle tap. As it draws alongside the fleeing prey, the cheetah extends a forepaw and hits one of the prey's hind legs, knocking it off balance. The prey tumbles at high speed, and the cheetah is on it instantly, delivering a suffocating bite to the throat. The cheetah must then face its next challenge, defending its kill. Despite being a formidable hunter, the cheetah is relatively small and lightly built compared to other African predators. Lions, leopards, and hyenas will all steal cheetah kills if given the opportunity, and cheetahs rarely attempt to defend their prey against these larger competitors. Estimates suggest that cheetahs lose approximately 9 to 14% of their kills to kleptoparasitism, though this varies by region and can be much higher in areas with dense populations of competing predators. This vulnerability means cheetahs must eat quickly. They typically begin feeding immediately after killing prey, consuming as much as possible before competitors arrive. They start with the most nutritious parts, the organs and hindquarters, eating rapidly. If undisturbed, a cheetah might spend 30 minutes to an hour feeding before moving away. If they detect the approach of other predators, they abandon their kill without contest, unwilling to risk injury in a fight they're unlikely to win. This relationship with other predators shapes many aspects of cheetah behavior. Their diurnal hunting schedule is partly an adaptation to avoid lions and leopards, which are most active at night. They preferentially hunt in open areas where they can see the approach of threats. Mother cheetahs with cubs are especially cautious, as lions in particular pose a severe threat to cheetah cubs, killing them opportunistically if they're discovered. Speaking of cubs, cheetah reproduction and cub rearing present their own challenges. Females in estrus advertise their condition through scent marking and vocalizations. Unlike the roar of lions or the sawing call of leopards, cheetahs produce a variety of bird-like chirps and stutters. Males who detect a receptive female will seek her out, and mating occurs over a period of several days. After a gestation of approximately 90 to 95 days, the female gives birth to a litter of 3 to 5 cubs, though anywhere from 1 to 8 is possible. The cubs are born with a distinctive mantle of long, silver-grey fur running along their backs. This mantle makes them look somewhat like honey badgers, one of the most aggressive and feared animals in the African bush, and may provide some protection through mimicry, deterring predators that might otherwise attack helpless cubs. Cub mortality is extremely high, with more than 70% dying before reaching independence. Lions are the primary threat, but leopards, hyenas, and even large eagles will kill cheetah cubs if given the opportunity. The mother moves her cubs frequently, changing den sites every few days to reduce the risk that predators will discover them. She must leave them periodically to hunt, but she tries to minimize the time they're alone and vulnerable. As the cubs grow, they begin to accompany their mother, first just on short trips, then gradually on hunts. They watch and learn, playing with each other in ways that develop the skills they'll need for hunting: stalking, chasing, pouncing. By about 15 months, they're beginning to participate in hunts, though they won't be proficient for several more months. Mother and cubs remain together for approximately 18 months before the family group breaks up. When they separate, female cubs typically become solitary, while male siblings often remain together, forming the coalitions that will define their adult lives. The transition to independence is dangerous, with many young cheetahs failing to survive their first year on their own. The challenges facing cheetahs are profound. They occupy only about 9% of their historical range, which once stretched across Africa, the Middle East, and into India. The primary threats are habitat loss, which fragments populations and reduces prey availability, human-wildlife conflict, particularly when cheetahs prey on livestock, and the illegal wildlife trade, which targets cheetahs for the exotic pet market and for their skins. Perhaps most concerning is the genetic issue. The global cheetah population went through a severe bottleneck approximately 10 to 12,000 years ago, when their numbers dropped to perilously low levels. The cheetahs alive today are all descended from this small group of survivors, resulting in extremely low genetic diversity. All cheetahs are genetically almost identical, more similar to each other than human siblings typically are. This genetic uniformity makes the species vulnerable to disease, as a pathogen that can infect one cheetah can likely infect all of them. It also leads to various physiological problems, including poor sperm quality in males and other reproductive issues. Despite these challenges, conservation efforts are providing hope. Protected areas in Namibia, Botswana, Kenya, and Tanzania support substantial cheetah populations. Conservation organizations are working to reduce human-wildlife conflict through livestock management programs and community education. Captive breeding programs, while not a long-term solution, provide insurance populations and help us understand cheetah biology better. And international cooperation is helping to combat the illegal wildlife trade. Throughout human history, big cats have occupied a unique space in our collective imagination. They appear in our oldest cave paintings, our myths and legends, our religious symbolism, our literature and art. They're used to represent everything from courage and nobility to danger and the untamed wild. This long-standing fascination reflects the fact that big cats and humans have been neighbors, sometimes competitors, sometimes threats to each other for as long as humans have existed. Our relationship with big cats began with fear. For our ancient ancestors, these powerful predators represented genuine existential threats. Evidence from fossil sites suggests that early hominids, including Australopithecines and even early members of our own genus, were sometimes prey for large cats. Leopards in particular seem to have preyed on our ancestors, as evidenced by puncture marks matching leopard canines found in ancient hominid skulls. The impact of this predation pressure on human evolution is difficult to quantify, but it likely contributed to the development of traits like complex social structures, sophisticated communication, and the use of fire and weapons, all of which help protect against predators. As humans evolved and developed more effective hunting tools and social structures, the dynamic began to shift. We became less prey and more competitors. Early humans and big cats often targeted the same prey species, creating direct competition for resources. Evidence suggests that ancient humans sometimes scavenged from cat kills, using their numbers and weapons to drive the cats away. Conversely, cats likely scavenged from human kills when opportunities arose. Despite this competitive relationship, or perhaps because of it, big cats began to play significant roles in human culture. In ancient Egypt, lions were associated with royalty and divine power. The pharaohs kept lions and were depicted hunting them as demonstrations of strength and courage. The Egyptians also worshipped cat deities, with the goddess Sekhmet depicted as a lioness representing war and healing. In ancient Mesopotamia, lions adorned palace walls and gates, symbols of power and guardianship. In the Americas, the jaguar held a central place in the mythologies of pre-Columbian civilizations. The Maya believed jaguars could move between the world of the living and the dead, and many rulers incorporated the word for jaguar, Balaam, into their names. The Aztec jaguar warriors were elite fighters, and the jaguar appeared in religious art and ceremonies throughout Mesoamerica. This reverence for jaguars persists in some indigenous communities today, where they're still seen as powerful spiritual beings deserving of respect and protection. In Asia, tigers have featured prominently in Chinese, Indian, and Southeast Asian cultures for millennia. In Chinese tradition, the tiger is one of the 12 zodiac animals and represents bravery and power. It's been depicted in art for thousands of years and features in countless legends and stories. In India, the tiger is the national animal, a symbol of the country's wildlife heritage, despite the complex and often challenging relationship between tigers and human communities. This cultural significance hasn't always translated into protection for big cats. As human populations grew and technologies advanced, we developed the capability to hunt these apex predators effectively. Tigers were hunted extensively during the colonial period in India, with British officers and Indian nobility competing to kill the most tigers as a demonstration of hunting prowess. Thousands of tigers were killed during this era, contributing to dramatic population declines. Lions in Africa faced similar pressures. As European colonial powers established control over African territories, they viewed lions as dangerous pests to be eliminated. Sport hunting further reduced populations. Even after colonial rule ended, lions continued to face persecution as human activities expanded into their habitats and conflicts over livestock increased. Leopards, despite their adaptability, weren't spared. Their beautiful spotted coats made them targets for the fur trade. Tens of thousands were killed annually during the peak of the fur trade in the mid-20th century. Similar pressures affected jaguars in the Americas and snow leopards in Asia. The trade in big cat parts continues today, though at reduced levels due to international protections and enforcement efforts. The 20th century brought a growing awareness of conservation issues, as big cat populations plummeted and some subspecies, like the Caspian tiger and Javan tiger, went extinct. Concerned scientists, conservationists, and members of the public began advocating for protection. This led to the establishment of protected areas, the implementation of hunting bans, and the creation of international agreements like CITES. the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, which regulates and in many cases prohibits the trade in big cat parts. These efforts have had mixed results. Tiger populations, after dropping to perhaps as few as 3,000 in the wild in the early 2000s, have shown modest recovery in some areas thanks to intensive protection efforts. Lion populations remain relatively stable in some well-protected reserves, but continue to decline overall. Leopards, despite facing pressures, remain the most numerous and widespread of the Panthera species. Jaguars have lost significant portions of their range, but still maintain a continuous population across much of their remaining habitat. Snow leopards remain vulnerable, but have become the focus of innovative conservation programs. Cheetahs remain endangered and face significant challenges. The primary threat to all big cats today isn't hunting, though that remains a concern in many areas. It's habitat loss and the fragmentation of remaining habitat. As human populations grow and expand into previously wild areas, big cat habitat disappears. Forests are cleared for agriculture. Grasslands are converted to cropland. Mountain regions are developed for mining and infrastructure. The remaining habitat often becomes fragmented into patches, isolated from each other by human development. Big cats in these fragments face reduced genetic diversity, increased vulnerability to local extinction, and limited ability to recolonize areas if populations are lost. Human-wildlife conflict is another major challenge. As natural prey becomes scarce in human-modified landscapes, big cats increasingly turn to livestock. A tiger that kills a cow, a lion that takes goats, a leopard that preys on chickens. These acts create real economic losses for people who are often living at subsistence levels. The response is frequently lethal. The cat is poisoned, shot, snared, or otherwise killed. Preventing these conflicts requires solutions that work for both people and cats, such as better livestock protection, compensation for losses, and finding ways for local communities to benefit economically from the presence of big cats. Conservation efforts today are increasingly sophisticated and multifaceted. They combine traditional approaches like establishing and maintaining protected areas with newer strategies. Community-based conservation programs engage local people as partners rather than adversaries, giving them stakes in wildlife preservation through ecotourism, employment, or other benefits. Human-wildlife conflict mitigation programs provide technical and financial support for better livestock management. Anti-poaching efforts employ technology like camera traps, drones, and genetic analysis to protect cats and catch poachers. Conservation genetics is helping us understand population structures and maintain genetic diversity. Habitat corridor projects aim to connect isolated populations, allowing gene flow and reducing the risks associated with small, isolated groups. Reintroduction programs are attempting to restore big cats to areas where they've been eliminated. Education initiatives are changing attitudes, helping people understand that big cats aren't merely dangerous pests, but valuable components of healthy ecosystems. The role of big cats in ecosystems is increasingly understood and appreciated. As apex predators, they regulate prey populations, preventing overgrazing and maintaining plant diversity. They influence the behavior of prey species, creating what ecologists call a landscape of fear that shapes where and when prey animals feed and move. This has cascading effects throughout the food web, influencing everything from plant communities to insect populations to soil chemistry. Research has shown that ecosystems with intact predator populations are generally healthier and more resilient than those where predators have been removed. This ecosystem perspective is leading to a broader understanding of conservation. It's not enough to protect only the charismatic predators. We must protect entire ecosystems, including the prey species big cats depend on, the habitats they need, and the ecological processes that maintain these systems. This requires thinking at landscape scales, protecting or restoring connectivity between habitat patches, and managing human activities in ways that minimize impacts on wildlife. Climate change adds another layer of complexity. Rising temperatures are altering habitats, with potentially severe impacts on some big cat species. Snow leopards may face habitat loss as tree lines shift upward and alpine zones shrink. Tigers in coastal areas like the Sundarbans are threatened by rising sea levels. Changes in precipitation patterns are affecting prey populations, which in turn affects the cats that depend on them. Addressing these climate impacts requires global action on carbon emissions, as well as local adaptation strategies. Looking forward, the future of big cats depends on choices we make today. Without sustained conservation efforts, several species face potential extinction in the wild within decades. Tiger subspecies like the South China tiger may already be functionally extinct, existing only in captivity. Asiatic cheetahs number perhaps fewer than 50 individuals, making their long-term survival uncertain. Some leopard subspecies, like the Amur leopard, exist in perilously small numbers. Yet, there are also reasons for hope. Where conservation efforts have been sustained and adequately funded, big cat populations have shown they can recover. India's tiger population has grown. Russia's Amur tiger population has stabilized. Some lion populations in Africa are holding steady or increasing. These successes demonstrate that with sufficient will and resources, we can share this planet with these magnificent predators. The benefits of conserving big cats extend beyond the cats themselves. Protected areas established for big cats conserve entire ecosystems, protecting thousands of other species. These areas provide clean water, sequester carbon, maintain soil fertility, and provide numerous other ecosystem services that benefit human communities. Big cat tourism generates significant economic benefits in many regions, providing livelihoods and incentivizing conservation. And the existence of these magnificent animals enriches our world in ways that can't be quantified in purely economic or ecological terms. We're at a critical juncture. The decisions we make in the coming decades will determine whether wild populations of tigers, lions, leopards, jaguars, snow leopards, and cheetahs persist into the next century. It will require commitment from governments, from conservation organizations, from local communities, and from people around the world who care about these animals and the ecosystems they inhabit. As we bring our journey through the world of big cats to a close, we might reflect on what these magnificent predators represent. They're products of millions of years of evolution, each species refined by natural selection into a supreme predator, adapted to its particular ecological niche. They're ecological architects, shaping the communities and ecosystems they inhabit in profound ways. They're cultural icons, woven into human mythology, art, and consciousness. But perhaps most importantly, they're indicators. The health of big cat populations tells us about the health of ecosystems more broadly. Where big cats thrive, ecosystems are generally intact and functioning. Where big cats are declining or absent, it signals deeper problems: habitat loss, prey depletion, disrupted ecological processes. The tiger stalking through the forest, the lion coordinating a hunt with its pride, the leopard hauling its kill into a tree, the jaguar diving into a river, the snow leopard leaping across a mountain gorge, the cheetah exploding into its sprint. These aren't merely fascinating behaviors of interesting animals. They're manifestations of healthy, functioning ecosystems. They're evidence that wild spaces persist where nature still operates according to its own rhythms and rules. Preserving these predators and the habitats they require is one of the great conservation challenges of our time. It requires us to make room for wildlife, even as human populations grow and development pressures increase. It requires us to find ways for humans and big cats to coexist, addressing conflicts in ways that work for both. It requires global cooperation and sustained commitment. The alternative, a world without wild big cats, is something none of us should accept. These animals have enriched human experience and imagination for as long as we've existed. They deserve their place on this planet, not because they're useful to us, though they are, but because they have intrinsic value, because they're marvels of evolution, because they're part of the incredible tapestry of life that makes Earth unique in the cosmos, as far as we know. If you've found value in this exploration of big cats, consider learning more about conservation efforts and finding ways to support them. Subscribe to this channel to continue learning about the remarkable creatures with whom we share this planet. And perhaps, most importantly, share what you've learned, helping others understand why these magnificent predators matter, and why their conservation deserves our attention and support. The future of big cats isn't predetermined. It will be shaped by the choices we make and the actions we take. By understanding these remarkable animals, by appreciating their ecological roles, by supporting conservation efforts, we can help ensure that future generations will have the privilege of sharing this planet with tigers, lions, leopards, jaguars, snow leopards, and cheetahs. These masters of the wild have persisted through ice ages and climate shifts, through changing ecosystems and evolutionary pressures. With our help, they can persist through the human age as well. And in doing so, they'll continue to inspire us, to humble us with their power and grace, and to remind us that we're part of something larger than ourselves, a living world of astonishing complexity and beauty. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the realm of big cats. Until next time, sleep well, dream of wild places, and remember that somewhere out there, under the same sky, these magnificent predators are moving through their domains, living their ancient lives, keeping the wild alive.